Critical theory and the Hermetic tradition, hidden affinities and irreconcilable differences. There is something genuinely strange about placing Max Horkheimer and the Hermetic tradition in the same room. Horkheimer was a materialist, a secularist, deeply suspicious of any mystification, and the Hermetic corpus, with its celestial hierarchies, its doctrine of sympathies, its confidence that the cosmos is alive with meaning, and that the adept can learn to read and manipulate that meaning, seems to belong to an entirely different universe of discourse. And yet the more carefully you examine both, the more you find that they share a remarkably common enemy, and that their diagnoses of what has gone wrong with modernity overlap in ways that are philosophically serious and not merely metaphorical. Let me begin with the diagnosis, because that is where the resemblance is most striking, and work toward the differences, because those are equally instructive. The disenchantment of the world as shared catastrophe. The central Hermetic claim, present already in the Corpus Hermeticum, elaborated through Ficino and Pico della Mirandola in the Renaissance, and running like an underground river through Paracelsus, Boehme, and the Rosicrucians, is that the cosmos is a unified living whole in which everything participates in everything else. The human being is a microcosm of the macrocosm. Matter is not inert. Nature speaks. The task of the wise person is not to dominate and analyze the natural world from the outside, but to enter into relation with it, to recognize the correspondences that bind the sublunary to the celestial, the body to the soul, the individual to the all. The key Hermetic watchword from the Emerald Tablet is as above, so below. A declaration that reality is structured by analogy, by resonance, by participation, rather than by the kind of hard oppositional subject-object relation that would come to define modern scientific rationality. Now consider what Horkheimer and Adorno argue in the Dialectic of Enlightenment. Their central thesis is that Western rationality, in its relentless drive to master and demystify nature, has not liberated humanity but rather trapped it in a new and more total form of domination. The Enlightenment, in their account, wages war against mimesis, the capacity to resemble, to become, to enter into sympathetic relation with the world, and replaces it with identification, classification, and control. The living world is flattened into a collection of objects available for manipulation. What is lost in this process is precisely what the Hermetists would recognize as the substance of wisdom, the capacity to perceive the world as a meaningful, animated, relationally structured whole. This is not a coincidence. Horkheimer and Adorno are quite deliberate in connecting the rise of scientific rationality to the suppression of older forms of knowledge that they associate broadly with magic. They speak of the progressive disenchantment of the world, borrowing, of course, from Weber, as a process of impoverishment rather than liberation. And when they describe what has been lost, their language often unconsciously echoes Hermetic categories: the mimetic faculty, sympathetic resonance with nature, the refusal to reduce quality to quantity. Critical theory is, among other things, a theory of what modernity destroyed, and what it destroyed looks remarkably like the Hermetic cosmos. The problem of reification and the Hermetic fall. There is a specific conceptual structure in Horkheimer's thought, inherited from Lukács and ultimately from Marx, that maps with surprising precision onto a recurrent Hermetic narrative. This is the concept of reification. For Lukács, following Marx, reification is the process by which living human relations and capacities become frozen into thing-like forms, most conspicuously in the commodity, where the human labor that produced it is rendered invisible, and the social relation between persons takes on the appearance of a relation between objects. This is not merely an economic observation. Lukács extended it to cover the entire structure of bourgeois consciousness. The tendency to fragment reality into isolated components, to treat the present as natural and eternal, to lose sight of the dynamic, historical, processual totality that underlies what appears as fixed and given. Horkheimer adopted this framework as the philosophical foundation of critical theory, arguing that what passes for reason in modern society is actually a form of rationality so thoroughly colonized